Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 22nd. Yesterday, quite a move yesterday. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a lot to show you on the, I mean, without looking at the chart. You gotta look at the chart. All right. So yesterday, we had a really good move up on Monday. Okay, and yesterday we had a further move up in the overnight session, and then the regular session was extremely range bound, and I mean extremely range bound. They tried several times to push it down, and then they just came back up to break even. And if you guys will recall yesterday, while trading, I ended with the position still open. I actually scratched that position and then ended up going short again around the same area. And towards the end of the day, this huge move down. Now, if you remember, the theory on my trade was that Congress is less likely to pass a bill before unemployment insurance benefits expire. And towards the end of the day, the headline that I was seeing from Zero Hedge was exactly that Mitch McConnell was skeptical that they would get it passed next week, and therefore there would be a lapse in unemployment insurance, and that's why we had a little move down. Now, since then, a little move down. It was a pretty ugly move, to be honest, and I found it extremely satisfying. Okay. And now in the overnight session, we've had a further move down, and I think that it's kind of more of that. And also there's a story that the United States is going to be shutting down China's consulate in Houston, Texas. I'm not exactly 100% sure what the deal is with that, but it is almost certainly something to do with Chinese agents trying to disrupt or damage in some way the data that the United States has for the vaccine. So China is, so as I understand it, or I'm kind of reading between the lines here, but China is basically trying to harm the United States' ability to get a vaccine out as quickly as possible, which is pretty fucked up, right? Now, the other thing yesterday was we had a pretty good, okay move in the treasuries. I mean, I guess it was back up to where balance was, but then a little bit higher. And now this morning, another little step higher. I don't know if they'll break out through the top, but we've got a 20-year auction today. 20-year auction today. Do I see it on the... Yes, it's at 11 o'clock. It's at 11 o'clock my time. So it's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I guess that's the normal auction time, isn't it? Okay. Anyways, that's a big deal. And I think that... Oh, well, let's just go through the other instruments a little bit. Oil, right? Actually ended up having a big move up yesterday, and it has since given its gains. Gold continues to be on a tear, extending its gains from yesterday, and its move up yesterday was very impressive. Daily ES were still above that line, so there's that. All right. But then the next, looking forward, and as I have in the title, we have Tesla and Microsoft earnings after the bell. There are a lot of other significant earnings that are going to be coming later this week. And a lot of these companies are going to be these tech stocks that everybody's been getting into. And it's pretty likely that Microsoft earnings are going to be pretty good. Okay. Their cloud services in particular are seeing a lot of adoption in the corporate space. A lot of people are moving over from Zoom to Microsoft Teams, even though Teams sucks. But I digress. They're going to be doing well. Tesla Tesla, I also think that Tesla is going to try to be upbeat, but I think it's going to be really, really hard for them to have earnings that justify the price. But we'll see. The thing is that if the earnings are at all positive at all, then that means that Tesla can be added to the indexes. Pretty likely, but you're not going to see them added to the index for another like 2 or 3 months. So I don't know if that's really a huge point right now. I still have it short. There's a couple of others. Well, let's come over here and I'll look up what else do we got. We got earnings report calendar. Microsoft, Tesla, Thermo Fisher, Biogen. Biogen is an important one, aren't they? Bunch of healthcare companies. Kinder Morgan. Oh, we're going to want to pay attention to that one as well. Kinder Morgan, Chipotle. NASDAQ is reporting. You can learn a lot of important things from NASDAQ. Las Vegas Sands. That should be interesting. Last move on Las Vegas Sands was a 12% move. What? I don't know about them. Discover Financial Services, maybe. So we got a lot of big earnings, and there's like even more in the later half of the weekend and next week. So that kind of puts us in an interesting situation here with the equities because there's a lot of bearish headlines, but I think overall there's going to be a lot of reason for people to be kind of shuffling around for some of these earnings. And like I said, we've got a 20-year auction. So I think that I would rather play in the treasuries. Now, the issue in the treasuries, though, is that I would have really liked 19. They're already 4 ticks up. So, yeah, that's where we're at. How are you guys today? I think I need you guys' help with something. I don't know. I don't know if I want to move right into this or at the moment. Maybe I should wait for a couple more of you guys to come in. How you doing? Wait. Let's make sure the text to speech is working here. Okay. Cool. All right, we all got that. Already some likes, and thank you guys very much. And if you're new or you're watching on replay, make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon, because if you hit the bell icon, you'll get notifications when we're live. So, silver on fire.
Sunday Driver says silver on fire.
Yeah. Silver is always the FOMO play, though, right? So I don't know if I elaborated very much on that yesterday, but the way that I would do the silver is I think you can absolutely be in right now, but you got to be nimble on your feet, right? Like gold is something that it seems to me like you can just get in and hold and you'd be fine, right? But the silver is a little bit different because silver turns back down really quickly. Silver becomes really volatile because the supply and everything, like there's the thing that you gotta keep in mind is that silver is not just like lesser gold, right? There's more industrial uses for silver first, and second, it's a completely different metal that's found in completely different places, so the supply for it is completely different. So it's really common to get situations. Well, I don't want to say really common, but we've had at least 2 situations, right, where it once when somebody literally cornered the market in silver, and then the FOMO. Yeah. Anyways.
Sunday Driver says precious metals are highly volatile, but are fairly easy to read before the big swings. So, always keep an eye on them.
Yeah, that could be. I just remember when silver was really running, and I bought it on the way up, and then I reversed and sold it at 50. I literally looked at where it had been before and shorted it there. And yeah, that was like, I mean, that was like on a spreadsheet. So I don't want to brag and say that that would have been like indicative of real life performance or anything, but it seemed to me like at the time that I had a good read on it, and I'm not exactly sure how I did because I really don't know a whole lot about it. Certainly I know more about the markets in general as than I did then, but I still know almost nothing about supply and demand in silver. But and yet I was still able to kind of read the momentum of the turns. So $30? Oh yeah.
Sunday Driver says I could be wrong, but $30 silver is very realistic.
I think that frankly, I think that a $60 silver is realistic. But there's going to be, I mean, that's the whole thing is there's going to be a lot of twists and turns before that, right? Wouldn't just with the way that things are going, the expectations of inflation are definitely picking up. Like people are definitely concerned about the inflation, even if it doesn't actually happen, because I think that we're likely to continue to be in a deflationary environment. But even if the dynamics of it aren't really favorable to inflation, just the fact that everybody is looking for it and is expecting inflation to move up is very bullish for the metals. And you saw this last time around too, right? After the 2008 crisis, a lot of people went into the metals, and their larger thesis never really turned out, but they still made money, assuming you got out at the top. But that's where I'm saying, like, you got to be careful with these, right? Because silver, I think silver could beat its all-time high, and I think it could get to $60 um, an ounce or whatever it is, maybe even more than that. But when it comes back hard. So silver in particular is not necessarily something that I would want to be like, long term trading. You know what I mean? Like I have to be nimble. Like I want to be able to get out immediately. The minute that I think it's done, I want to be able to get out in silver, right? Whereas gold has so much popularity and everything that you're going to get a lot of wiggle room to get out when it's time. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, Bill Ackman says, "I really blame CNBC for the soaring market." I think Zero Hedge misspelled that. It says scarring, but I think it meant soaring. Wasn't Ackman crying on CNBC begging for a bailout? Well, that's the thing. I don't think that I've really expressed this thought very effectively, even though it's something that we've come to over and over on the stream. I believe that the psychological impact of the stimulus on the market has far outweighed the actual real stimulative effects of it, because it is uh, basically making lending easy for the banks. Okay. It allowed the banks to increase liquidity back up to levels where markets are well functioning. It doesn't necessitate that you have to buy everything. But because everybody did the carry trade last time around and pumped the markets up during the QE era, that's the psychological. So now it's like the Fed wouldn't even have to put the money in. They just have to say that we're thinking about it and the markets would buy, right? The psychological impact is more impactful right now. Now. And for Ackman to say it's CNBC's fault, well, I think it's beyond CNBC because there was all these stories about Robinhood trades kind of preceded this crisis that kind of primed them for a bunch of people to try and go into day trading, because first it was like they were seeing the stories about it, and then they saw the crash, and it was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to get in and start day trading, right? Rubio, Chinese companies do things here that US companies can't do there. CTA analysis on Euro USD move. The CTAs are buying because CTAs are buying. So I don't really know a whole lot about CTAs. I wish I knew more, but it sounds to me like they mostly trade momentum. Yeah. Marketeer, inflation expectations just beginning? Yeah, could be. Liquidity is not great, but volumes have been okay in June. I don't know. I mean, liquidity is looking pretty okay in treasuries. I really wish that I had a position. I'm not so sure that I can just buy into 21. That seems a little risky, so. They're a little too far away. Plus, the E-mini could come up here. Like, Bill Ackman explains trades around Hell is Coming interview. There's a lot of people. So I posted a story in the economy channel in Discord, from Zero Hedge quoting Nomura. And one of the things that they were pointing out is that the monthly VIX expiration is today. I mean, that was written yesterday. They said tomorrow. So I believe that means today. Let's confirm that. I don't want to say something inaccurate. Contract specifications. Settlement. The morning of their expiration date, usually a Wednesday. Oh, on the morning of their expiration date. Interesting. So now all of the VIX options. So that means that the VIX options are basically going to be set by the market open, right?
Sunday Driver says Bill Ackman, we are long-term bullish on America, but betting against high-yield companies. Sunday Driver says Ackman doesn't see things getting meaningfully better until middle of 2021.
I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think that the V-shaped recovery is kind of done. And now we have to deal with the lingering effects from not only the coronavirus crisis, but the position that the markets were in before all of that, and the repo issue and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, it's going to take the markets a long time to sort out.
Uzi Knesset says morning.
Sunday Driver says morning.
Morning, Uzi. By the way, did you take any trades off of the inventory thing yesterday? I mean, I thought I did pretty good with it. Senator Rubio believes Congress will get relief package done.
Uzi Knesset says yeah, I got swept up in the stop runs on either side and rage quit. TBH.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Who can pay? I mean, that's not the first time that I've seen a stop run like that was like really frustrating, And I'm wondering, okay, so the last time that I saw that, did it also happen at the cost basis? It's kind of interesting. I mean, the thing that's so cool about it is that it is behaving almost exactly as theorized, which means that we really actually have found it's yeah, it's good. It's really good. Okay, so we are getting some Canadian numbers here with the core inflation rate year over year being
Uzi
slightly
Knesset
higher
says,
than
yeah, I can't
estimated.
get mad at myself over that. Can't see bottlenecked activity like that coming.
Yep, totally. Core inflation rate 1.1 versus 0.9 a month over month. It was spot 8 versus spot 4, and year over year spot 7 versus spot 3. So all higher than expected. I do want to be long treasuries. I just don't want to be long at 21. I want to be long at 19. Do you think I could get 19? Like if I put my order there, do you think I'll get it? Or is it like I'm really feel like that if I got 19 that they're gonna dump right through me? Because why would they come back all the way back to there? Unless the market maker is like feeling super generous today or something. I'm also noting there's no level break or anything here at 21. There are some people slowly
Uzi
building some
Knesset says, but
contracts.
hey, if you made any meaningful changes to the inventory, don't leave me out in the cold on it lol.
Well, I made another version of it um that is theoretically faster, but there's a slight difference between the two. And um the difference in them makes me unsure which one is correct. So I don't know what to do about it. I think that what I need, well, no, I do know what I need to do about it. I need to create another version
Uzi Knesset
that
says, oh,
prints
that's
things out.
annoying lol.
I need one that prints things out and then verify if it's doing which one, verify by hand that it's doing the math correctly. I'm probably gonna need to make like some sort of a testing framework for this one, which is not something that I've had to do in NinjaTrader, but this one is so complicated that it's like, okay, now we have to do the serious stuff. Yeah. The thing is that they're close enough, so I don't know. So I'm having this issue, and I'm wondering if maybe you guys have some thoughts for me. So I want to make a video in the future about various strategies that are popular among retail traders. Hold on. Okay, in 10 minutes we've got some more numbers, right? So there are some strategies that are popular amongst retail traders that I'm pretty confident from not only our own experience, but just from watching so many retail traders in our Discord over the years and seeing what sort of things like screw them over, that they aren't very effective and that they're actually a lot more risk than you realize. One of them being strategies where your risk is greater than your reward. So your what do we call this? I don't want to call it risk reward because they word risk comes first and we don't calculate it that. Your hmm, I forget what you call it, but anyways, when it's less than one, that indicator that metric is less than one. So if your winners are 3 times your losers, then it's 3. But if your losers are larger than your winners, then it's less than 1, right? Um, that's one of the strategies that I see a lot of people trying lately, especially on Reddit, because if you scalp on Robinhood and you don't pay commissions,
Vlad
then
Stolyarov says martingaling risk to like 10 times until it's over your head, best way to blow up.
oh yep, that's on the list. But here's the thing is that in my opinion, martingaling and doubling down and um, strategies where your risk is greater than your reward are kind of all the same thing. Because they all rely on making money through taking on excessive risk. Like that is really the only way that they make money, if they make money, is because of the taking on the excessive risk. There's not, because of the way that you do it, there's not really any way for it to be predictive, right? Like the reason that you trade it that way is because your signal's not predictive enough. Like you double down. Your first entry wasn't good enough, so now you're going to take a second entry and average out or try and hold it. Now with that one, it comes into another disadvantage, which is that you have momentum clearly running against you. And the best trades usually will show a profit right from the start, because that means that there's actually a real reason for why the market is moving your direction, and you're getting in at the right time. I digress. I don't think retail traders realize the amount of risk that they're taking on with some of these strategies. So you got these guys that are like, scalping 50, 100 times a day in Robinhood. And it's a little bit easier to get away with that because you're not paying commissions, right? But the issue is still that, like, in order for that to be profitable, you have to have an extremely high win rate. So you might get 70, 75% just randomly. Maybe. My own experience is that I don't think I would get 75%, but I think it's probably a little bit lower than that. But even if you did, that's just break even, right? So in order to really make money off of it, you're gonna have to be pushing 80, or probably even better 85, because at 80, you get a string of losers and it's just gonna wipe out a whole month just like that, right? So but the thing that I see that happens to these strategies is that, like, they'll start trading it and it seems to be going really well and they'll have sized up and everything, and then the big one comes, right? Like the coronavirus crisis. It'd just be some crazy freak move
Vlad
that is
Stolyarov says it only takes one day when stock goes 3 times its average true range, drops like 35%.
yeah. And all of a sudden, something that works 85% of the time loses every time that day. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. Like I've been on Facebook groups. This has happened to me more than once. Like I can. This is how things went with analytical kinetics on Twitter. I told them
Sunday Driver
don't.
says depends on how you look at risk. I sometimes see the biggest risk as a no-brainer easy investment based on valuations in the economy.
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of different ways to measure it, right? This is what happened with analytical kinetics, as I saw him on a Facebook group, and he said, here's a strategy that seems to be working pretty well. It was an automated strategy. And I'm like, nope, because you have to maintain a really high win rate. And what'll happen is this thing will just completely blow up in one day. And he's like, well, it's working pretty well right now. I'm going to keep doing it. And then, sure enough, 6 months later, he came back and he's like, you were totally right. It went down exactly the way that you said it was. It was like, it wasn't really pushing a high enough win rate overall. And then all of a sudden one day, the bad day comes and the whole account blew out in one day. So I want to make a video about this, but the problem is that whenever I come across somebody trading this strategy and I tell them, well, like, here's the problems with that kind of a strategy, right? And this is not like just a Seth thing, right? Like, Futures Trader 71 is always making this recommendations. Gary Norden says this as well. It's like you can make money having your risk greater than your reward, but that it's really common for those to just completely blow out. And that strategy is probably better suited to an algorithmic trading firm that has a ton of money and can just kind of pull back and only trade a small portion of it, right? Hold on. Anyways, so I run across people talking about this strategy and I try and convince them about it, and I don't seem to be able to convince them. And so I thought I will go on Reddit and here's my thinking about how to present it. And it did okay. I think that it got like 20. And in fact, let's go and find you the link. I'll bring you guys the link. But don't, when you go there, don't upvote or downvote or anything like that. Okay. We're not going to brigade, but I am going to give you the link so that you can read it. Anyways, I'm not effective at convincing people. I'm not effective at convincing people that you shouldn't try this. So here's the thread. So here's where I need your guys' help. Is how can I better make my case here? How can I make it more convincing to people that there's some real problems with these strategies? Because the thing that I ran into in particular was this one guy said, well, your risk reward really doesn't matter as long as your percentage profitable is the same. And this is just frankly not true. A high risk, high win rate strategy functions very, very differently from a low risk, low win rate strategy. And the sort of problems that you kind of run into with them and the pitfalls and you know, the way that you have to trade them are completely different. If you have too low of a win rate, then there's real problems with that kind of a strategy too, right? I think that you want to go for something that, you know, you can get a good win rate so that you can know when it's changing, you know, without having to take on more risk to do it. So risk reward greater than 1 and as high of a win rate as you can get. This is what I think you should be going for as a retail trader. Anyways, and then the other one was like, oh yeah, of course somebody's going to come in and is like, oh yeah, I double down all the time. And I've been making money from it for 5 years. This one guy says that he's made money for 5 years and he's up 50% this year. And he doubles down a lot.
Uzi Knesset says, see, I'd like to get a historical view at how far prices typically deviate above and below the cost basis.
Yeah. Well, I think that we can do that, but I've been having a problem. I used to be able to do order flow indicators through tick replay with yeah, does it make sense? Like I used to be able to use like cumulative delta in a strategy and then backtest it. And it would take forever, but it would work. And lately when I've tried rerunning those strategies, they crash. So I don't know what the deal is, if something changed and I need to rewrite them or what the deal is, but I've had a difficult time getting that to work. But here's the other thing is that I don't think that the number of ticks that it deviates from the cost basis is really what you want to look at. I think that the next steps are when we're doing that matching. How many matched and how many didn't match? The ones that matched, you can consider that profit for the buyer or the seller. So then you get another line, which is the cost basis plus the amount of profit they've made. Makes sense. So now you get an idea of how much risk, like how much they take before they actually really are losing, right? So it would be, so you've got this line right here for the buyers, but then say they've made, $10,000 or whatever, and then we say, okay, so $10,000 divided by the number of contracts that they're currently holding equals the number of ticks of excursion that they can really afford. So now you get a line down here that is like, okay, this is where things like are really falling apart for them and they're going to have to puke. And then you're going to get another line up here for the buyers, essentially. And then there's going to be another one that's going to be like, um, how to explain. But anyways, basically, I think the key thing as to how far away from the cost basis it can get is how many outstanding contracts there actually are. You get what I mean?
Uzi Knesset says I tried to work it into my oscillator. It uses a VWAP currently, but I know big brain enough lol.
Right. Because then when you start going beyond that, then it's like, okay, how much money are they actually losing? And you can do deviations off of that. So then you would have something that actually adjusts with how many contracts are open. Because if you try and just say how many ticks away from the cost basis does it get on average, you can get something pretty random. But if you get this one, you should get something that is pretty consistent. That like if they get like one standard deviation beyond their risk, then, or this x many thousands of dollars is when they tend to bail. You should be able to call the turn a little bit better. And then when it happens, you should be able to see some confirmations in the order book that that's what's happening.
Uzi Knesset says yeah that I wanna see.
Yeah. So I've made all the changes in the indicator to make it so that that should be pretty easy. I just haven't written that part. And then the other part is giving you the ability to jostle things around on different time frames better. Because like right now, I like here on my main chart, I have one. That's what that yellow and blue horizontal lines are. But in order to do that, I'm putting it on a 30-minute chart. And what I should be able to do is put it on a 1-minute chart, but still have it aggregate by 30 minutes. Right? Kind of the same way that the volume profile built into NinjaTrader does. And then have a moving window. Because, well, I don't know. So like yesterday, I don't know if I showed you guys the window over here. But when we come over to the E-mini yesterday, okay, so do you see, here's the overnight, and then when the regular session starts, I move it, I reset it, and it comes up to here. And you can kind of see how, okay, they pushed the seller's risk quite a bit, then they pushed the buyer's risk. When they came below the seller's risk, that's when things really took off. And you can see the way that they, like, look at this. I need to draw. Okay. So here at the very beginning, you can see that it was very clearly dissects the market. When they come to those cost bases, that's when you get the runs, which is exactly what we would expect because that is people are losing money and you get the stop runs. Perfect. But then when you get over to here, it kind of okay. But then here it seems like maybe it matters again. Okay. So it's like having one that goes through the whole day is useful, but then you also need one that's a rolling window. And then you should be able to see when you come into it with a smaller time frame up in here, you should be able to see that, you know, probably you'd see something like this. Right. Where they were really bouncing between the smaller time frames. Something like that. So there's a bunch of different things, but I didn't take it that far because I got to that one point and then I was like, well, I don't know if it's right. And should I really? Would you recommend slitting the session for the treasuries? No, I haven't been. I just used the one extended session and it seems to work fine. But the treasuries are different, right? I think that these market makers, they take positions and they hold them through for the whole session in the treasuries. In the E-mini, the open is such a significant change for the number of open positions that I think you want to reset it at that point. So, and the thing is that you can kind of judge from where the cost bases were in the overnight session and then kind of extrapolate where it probably is now. Because if that line was at a certain place for a really, really long time, then they'd come back to it and stuff. Like, it's just like what they say, the market will go back to places where it knew that people had previous positions and test them.
Drew says, what time is the call?
Which call? Let me give you this link, bud. That's the earnings calendar that I use. Tells you what time their press release and conference call is.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
So, do we have any 8:30 a.m. ones? I don't think they do. Not a lot of volume there. 21 and 20 half. Carl Quintilla. Quoting Ivan the K, why didn't you take your trash out last night? I blame CNBC. Carl retweets it. You also left your socks on the den floor. CNBC not taking kindly to, yeah. What is his name again? Ackman. CNBC not taking kindly to Ackman, blaming them for the mania in retail trading right now. So Ackman is now paying the New York Fed a 5% carry on junk bonds. Slack accuses Microsoft of anti-competitive practices in the EU, says complaint. Slack has got to be losing. I know that my business has moved from Slack to Microsoft, but you know what? Here's the problem, Slack. If you just built in the All you need to do is build in the encryption and everything so that regulated companies like financial companies or healthcare companies can actually use Slack, and you would dominate. That's all you have to do, and you would dominate. And because you don't have that, and Microsoft Teams does, all of these companies are moving over to an inferior product because they need the encryption by law. So just get it done. Unfortunate for them. Mm-mm.
Drew says, why would Tesla do a call at 5:30 p.m.? Is this on purpose to mess with the trading?
What do you mean? It's 30 minutes after the indexes close. Is there somebody doing their call at 5? I bet you Microsoft is like, where? So when does Microsoft? Oh, they're both doing them at the same time. Well, I don't know why you wait 30 minutes until after the close, but it's pretty common. I don't see any of them at a similar time. That's funny. Well, CSX is 4:30. Oh, so wait, we close at 2:04. That's an hour and a half after the market close, huh? I don't know. I just know that it's fairly common. Might have something to do with like Tesla and Microsoft in particular being West Coast companies. That might be a part of it. Sure is going to be interesting though. The options volatility is crazy. The people were saying that the implied volatility on them right now is just insane. Well, so far today, things have been really, really quiet. Since 1980, there were 10 episodes in which gold dropped more than 9%.
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA lives in its own bubble.
It sure does, man. There's been this interesting thing where you'll see unusual call activity and then the market makers have to buy the stock in order to hedge it. I think that some retail traders have been messing with the markets. And good for you. You made some money, but at some point it's going to blow up in your face. You know what I mean? Somebody catches onto it. They sell instead of buy. You're fucked. Technical term there. I wasn't swearing. It was a technical term. So going back to that thing I was talking earlier about strategies where your risk reward is less than one. The one of the things that really irks me is the guy tried to end the conversation by saying, "I think you'd agree by this point that risk reward alone has no bearing on your risk of ruin." Well, You're wrong. Just because there's a risk of ruin with other strategies doesn't mean that it's not important. Like your risk of ruin when you have a risk reward less than 1
Victor Manuel
is
Lopez Bowses says
a real
short.
concern. A real concern. I am short at Tesla. I didn't take it with a live account or anything. Let me show you. I think I'm still in the money in it, in fact. But I don't really trade options very often. It's kind of an experiment. Let's open up Thinkorswim. Took it in Thinkorswim demo. So wasn't gonna risk $3,000. But but I'm still coming in and saying, I'm still gonna put my name on the line on it. Well, 8-point range in the E-mini. Moved up 2 points in the 10-year treasury. Ticks, rather. Okay, so my strike price is 1,500. They're not below 1,500, but I'm pretty sure that there's... well, we'll have to see what they are when they open. I guess they're down a little bit. But the whole call was, what I could have done is that first day that I took them, they sold, and I could have just taken the profits right then and there and then tried, getting back in. But no, the trade was that their earnings aren't going to match expectations. So we'll see. And I'm probably just going to let them expire. So, well, we're here. Let's take a look here. Microsoft took a pretty okay hit yesterday too. Most of these aren't really moving in the overnight. I do see that the VIX has had another spike overnight, but has then since come back a little bit. So that's interesting because we've been saying that the VIX would contract a little bit, and it did. I mean, like when it was on Monday, we were saying it was at 25, and we're likely to stay below 25. It's looking like it's kind of staying here. So the thing is I can see volatility continuing to drift off, but at some point we're probably going to have another spike in volatility. So I don't know. I think we're likely to have another spike at some point, just maybe not this week. But if there's any time which it's going to start doing it, now that they're going to be rolling the VIX contract over, it could happen. Neil Henderson tweets, Federal Reserve officials are set to discuss next week how to provide more economic stimulus, though they have signaled comfort leaving policy on hold until they learn more about the effects of the coronavirus on the U.S. economy. Oh, I didn't know that ECB's Lagarde was speaking right now. 10K. Do I have a duplicate workspace going on again? No, it really is a 10K. That's a lot to trade at 21. And it takes up.
Josie says good morning from Toronto, Canada.
Good morning, Joe. You should go give. We have a couple of guys from Canada. So there was just a little bit of a decrease, just a little bit of a drop in the E-mini there. And the
RJ Wheel
treasuries
says
ticked up
here.
for a big order.
RJ Wheel says hi, Josie.
Might be some reaction to something that Lagarde is saying right now because she's giving a speech. Did not have that on my calendar. Did Forex Factory have that on their calendar? Euro, maybe? No. I don't know. It wasn't on my calendar. That's okay, though. So we've got the new squad.
Ilker Khan says hello.
Hey, guys. I shouldn't have put Tesla and Microsoft in the title. We're going to get tons of guys coming in. Well, I'll show you. Well, no, I closed it. I'm short the 1500 strike. We'll see if it works out. It's an experiment. Okay, there's another one. Okay, but the treasuries regained the offers regained the 21. Oh, and the 30 years coming back. Come back, come back. I don't know. That looked like the pretty good downturn, but
Nemesis Kantos says, Nemesis
fast.
Kantos says, Nemesis Kantos says, hello. And 20 half goes the offer. Nobody's traded 20 though. Like they took 20 half offer and 1800 hit into it and it's still holding. This should be good. Maybe I can, we probably will have a bunch of Tesla and Microsoft guys coming in today, but maybe we can convert them to watching the book. You know that the NASDAQ, they want to have as part of the change, they're pushing a big change that's coming in, and you're going to get the level 2 for all stocks basically. So you'll be able to do serious order flow analysis on stocks. This is going to be a big change. This is going to really change the retail trading space. Because all of a sudden you're going to have all these guys on Thinkorswim and all these other platforms, using order flow indicators. It'll be interesting. Mm-mm-mm-mm. 2000 now. So you get an iceberg there? That looks like an iceberg. Nope. Nope. And actually a pretty strong bid as they ticked up too. And the offer pulled at 21. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, they took it. I was going to say that's a little odd that there's only 700, 800. So that says to me that people really don't want to sell this. That makes me a little doubtful about getting my fill down here. And the 30-year went right back up too. Yeah. So if you guys are not too familiar with the treasuries, one of the things that's going on today is there's a 20-year auction. And there's been pretty strong demand in the auctions, especially on the longer end of the curve. And so and there's also some kind of interesting behavior in the terms of the market making and where the futures go on auction days, where sometimes they'll sell a little bit going into the auction, but then overall on the day, we usually end up positive. And given that there was kind of a bit of a risk off day yesterday in equities and everything else, it makes a good, how do I say this? Basically, everybody's looking for it to go long. Everybody's looking for it to go long. And you can see just there at the 21, we came down 2 ticks quite quickly when the E-mini started to recover. But then when they traded it back up, none of the market makers actually wanted to take their shorts. Nobody wants to go short. Nobody wants to take their profits at 21. So even though I would really like to see it come back to a safer area for me to take a long, they all want to buy it. They all want to buy it. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that the E-mini is going to get creamed or anything else like that. Again, the 20-year auction is a really important component of this, right? Like, from my perspective today, I think that the 20-year auction provides me a better opportunity to trade than the E-mini does, because the E-mini today is all about that Tesla and Microsoft earnings are after the bell. And that means that the important stuff's not going to happen until after the market is closed. And therefore, unless we have some really strong market moving news, the E-mini action today could be really mixed. Let's see if they absorb at 21 this time. Last time they were up there, they didn't. They haven't been absorbing up at the top, but there has been some big orders up there. There was a 10K at 21, remember. Okay, here's the open. Initial move is long. Not a ton of volume behind it. Actually sputtering out pretty quickly. Yeah. It might need another wave, though. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, man, when you look on look at that on the chart, it seems like huge. But that's just how constrained we've been over the past hour. 2-point range.
RJ Wheel says 3,248 and 3,254 are numbers to crunch.
Those the VIX numbers? The VIX expected moves?
RJ Wheel says hit 48.
Hit the like button. That's... No, do your trade right now. You're trading right now. That E-mini open, keep close attention. Just remember it. And then when you come back over here, you can slam that like button.
RJ Wheel says lol.
Oh man. Okay. It is slow. I wonder though, are we going to get like another, am I going to turn into this, oh, it's like a real battle and really riveting action like it was yesterday? Because yesterday was really constrained. And today it's looking to possibly be even slower. Well, and when you look at like, well, actually take that back. So if there was to be a significant long, okay, if the traders that have been long overnight really want to get to where they're making money, then they got to get over 3260.
So if we have a strong movement long in the E-mini, we should be seeing 3260. So I will trade off of that thesis. It looks like they're not going to really give me a good. They're going to make me FOMO into it. So when I feel like they're trying to squeeze me into something, that to me is a signal that it's not the right time. Okay. It's coming back. Huh? When I say it's coming back, the 10-year is coming back. So there's some volume right there at 32.50.25. No, I would prefer a test below the open first, and then, but maybe they don't give it to us. See, my problem is right now that the risk is not. If I think they were going to go to 32.60, then I would be risking at least 5 on the downside. And what are the chances that they touch that low? I think that they're actually pretty good. I don't actually think that they're going to do it, but it's still a likely enough scenario that I don't think I can take that one at the moment. Okay. Big bid at 20 in the 10-year. Oh, it disappeared. They ticked down, it pulled. Did I see it? No, I didn't. I was going to ask, did we see, was it a significant pull? And it looks like no, but look, they're down. Now they're below 17. Okay, so they pushed a new high, but only by like a tick, and they pulled back significantly again. Now we should pay attention here at 20 in the 10-year because that's pulls. Okay, there was like 4,000 at one point there, right? Now it's 1236. But if they trade through it, how much actually trades? If they trade through that with like only 1,500.
Vlad Stolyarov says be cautious, I have no bias while it's inside day.
Yeah. One of the issues that I have is even though I kind of see the positions, it's been so constrained. I'm not sure that a 10-point move up in the E-mini really makes sense, you know? So that's why I was like, okay. 10-point
RJ Wheels
reward.
says agree. This is an either or day.
And I know where I want it to go, but what is the risk? What is the risk that I have to take for that? 5 points? How likely is that 5 points down to be touched? Actually fairly high. So in this situation, the risk reward probability doesn't make a whole lot of sense for this trade. If we were back at the open, maybe it would have made sense. If we were back at the open, maybe it would have made sense. Also, 32.52 is yesterday's close. Somewhere around there. I don't know what the exact value is. 51.25. Man, Mike Pompeo is talking again. Does he give a news conference every day or something?
RJ Wheels says I'm still outstretched for 54.
Well, 54 wouldn't be that unreasonable. Okay, but good little run there. Again, some stops. I guess my other thing is that I'm still more interested in my opportunity in the treasury. So this move up in the E-mini is good for us because it means that we might be able to get our fill. And then we could still move up. Although, there's that chance that they just bust right through and then they go down to the low. Then I'd be really pissed. But let's see. There's also a chance that because if they can make it to 3260, right? Could flip back down and around, and this could be way more whippy than we expect. Mohammed El Areen tweets yet another illustration of what has become incredibly, and you can choose the descriptor, technically robust Teflon disconnected markets. U.S. stocks opened slightly higher despite the news on China-U.S. tensions and worsening coronavirus-related public health conditions. While I don't think that the coronavirus public health conditions are really a driver on the market at the moment, because what you should expect to see is a rise in the overall cases in the United States, because you're going to see a lot more states hitting their wave.
But the areas that you really want to be concerned about, like the really big population centers, I think that most of those have been hit. And the probability that there's any full on closures are pretty low. So I think that the market is going to ignore that stuff. Now, the China tensions, I don't know. Doesn't I mean, the market definitely moved down overnight on that stuff, but does the market think that it's a longer term concern? They're not considering it at the moment, at least. Well, it's been a pretty solid uptrend so far. Like those trades where I was a little hesitant to take it, like at 50. We could be up 5 points. I don't know if that's really enough to justify the trade, but what's this story from the Hill? Trump shifts stance amid coronavirus woes. President Trump is changing tack on the coronavirus after a long period during which public opinion of his response has drifted downwards, taking his chances of re-election with it. On Tuesday, he held the first White House press briefing focused on the pandemic since April. There, in a more sober assessment than before, he acknowledged that the situation would unfortunately get worse before it gets better and insisted that his administration will stop at nothing to save lives and shield the vulnerable. Previous day, Trump had for the first time tweeted a photo of himself wearing a mask, hailing this as a patriotic thing to do. Trump had long sought to downplay the pandemic threat, and he did not entirely abandon his approach Tuesday, repeating his insistence that COVID-19 would ultimately disappear. There is no evidence that it is disappearing anytime soon. More than 140,000 people in the United States have died, and many states are currently dealing with a resurgence in cases. People close to Trump have urged him to take a more realistic and proactive tone. There is dismay within his orbit, not just at his sagging poll ratings, but at the way his earlier efforts to present an optimistic face on the crisis have backfired. Makes sense. Donald Trump always trying to be optimistic, and in this case, I think that even though optimism is probably is the right way to do it, he probably was a little bit detrimental to his efforts because the optimism canceled out giving people a realistic idea of what's happening and what they need to know. Trump's initial failure to comprehend the seriousness of the problem now looks like a catastrophic misstep. One famous example came in February when he said a total of 15 people then known to be infected in the United States was going to be down close to zero within days. There probably was a point at which we could have avoided having it, but it seemed like China was determined to get the United States infected, right? Unfortunate. Okay. E-mini continues its march. Are you going to get the 3260? Gonna be like, shucks. There's a decent amount trading at 20. Referring to Trump's return to White House briefings on the topic, GOP strategist Matt Makowiak said, I think it is a recognition that this story has not gone away, and it is going to be with us for a while. There was a hope that summer might lead to a brighter period, and that hasn't happened. Makowiak said that he believed there was an increasing realization on the part of the White House that they may have to take this on both from a substantive policy standpoint and a public relations standpoint. For sure. Hmm. So I'm seeing 3260 or 3255. A little bit of a slowdown there at 56. The book in the Yemeni just looks so overwhelmingly positive. Wow. Jeez.
Kevin Wimmer says, did you watch the Trump and Chris Wallace interview? Lying so much and making false statements. For instance, about COVID cases and mortality, or Joe Biden, or the test he took. Was really embarrassing.
Well, I didn't
Vlad
watch the whole
Stolyarov says
thing.
option flow looked positive too.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but the whole
Vlad
argument
Stolyarov says
over
first 7 minutes into open.
yeah, I mean, look at the book. It's almost all everybody's going along and looking to get filled along. I feel like that both Donald Trump and the media are being dishonest on the mortality rate. Okay, because if you want to, there's not really like any one single number that we can really use to give you a really good idea about what's going on. You know, so like Chris Wallace is using deaths per 100,000. So what does deaths per 100,000 tell you? It tells you how much of your population on a population adjusted basis has died from it. Okay? So what is going to be the primary factor in changing that metric? How far progressed the disease is in your country. Okay, so has the coronavirus progressed farther in the United States than in other countries? True. Is that indicative of the United States response being poor? I disagree. The probability is, from what we're looking at right now and how long it's going to be for a vaccine, that pretty much everywhere is going to get hit. And in Europe, they are opening back up. They're going to be behind the United States. You're going to see a rise in cases. You're starting already to see it in Southern Europe, seeing it in Spain and Italy, and it's going to catch up to Germany. And then the question is going to be, over in Germany, are they going to shut things down again? And I'm going to bet you that they make the same decision that the United States is, that our hospitals can handle it and that they're not going to close back down again. So here, just because your country hasn't been hit yet doesn't mean that your response was good or bad. Take, for instance, New York. New York has the highest death rate in the world on a 100,000, per 100,000 on that metric, right? Well, I don't think that New York's response was very good, but Dr. Fauci thinks that it was. He thinks that New York did exactly what they were supposed to do. So why do they have such a high death rate? Well, part of it was that there was a lot of elderly people in the Northeast that died because they let it go in. They sent people from the hospital back to the nursing homes, which was really, really stupid. Okay. That's why the number is so high. But then another reason why the number is so high is because they got hit first. Is it really New York's fault that they got hit first? I don't think it is. So is it fair to use that one number to judge whether or not the United States response was effective or not? I don't think it is. Now, Donald Trump wants to use tests per confirmed case. Now, deaths per confirmed case would be a really good metric, because then we can sit down and we can say, on things like, did our hospitals become overwhelmed? Was our hospital staff, correctly equipped, and were we really prepared for it? And when the crisis hit, which is inevitable, how effective were we at dealing with it once it came in here? That's what deaths per confirmed case are going to tell you. Except that you can't really compare the deaths per confirmed case between the United States and the rest of the world, because the United States does significantly more tests per day than anywhere else. We're doing something like 50% more tests per day right now than anybody else. So that's going to skew that metric. So the metric that Donald Trump is using isn't really going to be very effective at telling you how effective the United States response is either. So they're both jerking you around on the numbers. They're both jerking you around. They do have the lowest number on deaths per confirmed case, but the United States is testing a lot more, so it's skewing that metric.
Kevin Wimmer says no, but the thing is, we have the lowest number is a clearly false statement. Even on the paper Trump used, it wasn't the lowest. So this is a lie no way you look at it.
Oh, is there
Vlad
another country
Stolyarov
that
says
has
PFE sold its news so far. Live Action says the numbers are fake.
Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says looking for some resistance here. Vlad Stolyarov says S.
So the issue with saying that the numbers are fake is that it's very easy to show that there are individual data points that are wrong. But in order to say that the numbers are fake, you have to prove that the number of data points that have errors in them is a significant amount of the overall sample to affect the end result. And just don't see that. It's not enough to go in and say, yeah, this one guy, he died in a motorcycle accident, and they put it as a coronavirus death. Okay. That means, yeah, you can look into it, but that doesn't mean that the numbers are fake. That's one error point. And in any kind of a real world sample like this, there's going to be errors. Now, is that error enough that it's completely skewing the results and the United States is actually doing way better than any other country? And, well, it's possible, but we have absolutely no evidence to that effect. Okay, so we did go to 60. Well, I could have taken it, but I think that if I was going to have taken it, I should have been a little bit earlier. I think I was just too late on that trade. I don't think that it would have gone a whole lot against me. There was a couple places where it could have gotten in the wrong spot, but if I had gotten in at 50, I probably would have been okay. Overall, though, I did not like the overall risk reward on that trade. So when you come to a line like 3260, I'm not sure that I can completely predict what it's going to do here, but the most likely scenario is that they're going to pierce through it a little bit and then pull back. Um, I think that you would need to have a clear driver for the buyers to like really get the better end of this. Does that make sense? Like this is the line at 3260 is where longs that have been long from the beginning of the session
Live Action
start
says
to
my
make
friend's
money.
mother died in hospital, lied and put down cause as COVID. What hospital did not know was his wife's mother as hospital supervisor and demanded investigation.
That's funny. Well, I'm sure that you can find a lot of error points. But what percentage of the overall cases does that actually end up being? No real way to know, is there? And the thing is like when I look at like deaths per hospitalization, for instance, don't really see anything unusual. The deaths per hospitalizations was changing significantly, then I would start to be like, okay, maybe they're overcounting deaths. Hmm.
Let's use this. When you look at a scatter plot of deaths versus confirmed cases, you can see that the United States is a clear is out there. It's actually pretty far to the right. What about Europe, though? I don't know. It all kind of looks like a wash, to be honest. They're all in a pretty narrow line there. I don't know if there's any clear outlier that says that like one nation is really doing a significantly better job at this than others, but I mean that's the thing that bothers me is that they're taking this data to try and say that Europe was smart and the United States wasn't. And I if we get through this, like there's a vaccine and the whole thing is over and it's like over and done, and then that's still the case, then yeah, Europe did the right thing. But until that time, it's too early to call. This is like saying that the game is over when you're at halftime, you know? Europe could still get hit, and there's some indications that that's happening in Southern Europe.
Uzi Knesset says everyone they're saying was smart, was stupid, in the beginning. It's all an illusion.
Well, I think that a large part of what's happening is that there's been a lot of wrangling around that, how do I say, uh, unnecessary, over pointless minutia. Like this is what Fauci was always doing was like when you go into the briefings and he would seemingly contradict Donald Trump, the things that they were contradicting on were like really insignificant. And you look at the press conference that Donald Trump had yesterday where Fauci wasn't involved. They had a much more clear message. They got done what they needed to get done. It was a good call, and I think that not having Fauci there was positive for them. Because even though Fauci might know what he's talking about in terms of handling the disease and everything, he's not an effective communicator with the media. He's just not. Putting the egghead in front of the camera, probably a bad idea. Okay, so we're getting existing home sales here.
RJ Wheel says Biden called China ban xenographic.
That's pretty good.
Pelosi implored San Franciscans to support Chinatown by going out to shop and eat at restaurants.
So we got 4.78 or 4.72.
Victor Manuel Lopez Bauzes says, are you trading Tesla?
4.72 versus an estimate of 4.78. So I have a simulated options trade in Tesla. Oh man, really? I'm trying to get something here in the 10-year treasury. Well, maybe I could have gotten 19.5. I don't know. E-mini took a little bit of a dive there.
RJ Wheel says WAPO and NY Times wrote editorials questioning shutting down economy.
Really? Well, I question shutting down the economy. It's starting to seem to me that how you protect the elderly
Vlad
is more
Stolyarov
important.
says tech stocks behave strong while banks weak. Another weird day.
I think that the data that we use to justify shutting down the economy has turned out to be wrong. There is not a significant number of regular everyday people that die from the coronavirus to justify shutting down the economy.
RJ Wheel says now they scream Trump murdered people.
Nah. There's what matters is how well you shield the vulnerable population. That's really what this should have been from the beginning. And that's why New York's really in the end will be looked at as a failure because they put the people that were at the most risk at, completely exposed. They had people that they knew had the virus and they sent them into the nursing facility.
So stupid. I don't know. I can't. To me, that's just like a no-brainer. But they thought for sure that it was really important to make sure that they were in the nursing facility instead of keeping them at the hospital or in quarantine or something. That's the thing that matters, and that shutting down the economy, I'm not so sure that it really helped. It just delays the inevitable, and it would shutting down the economy when you're having like a spike in cases would be a good thing, but most states weren't having a spike. The only one that the shutdown really helped was, New York. Probably if they hadn't have done the shutdown, then New York, I think, would have reached hospital capacity and it could have been a real disaster. But everywhere else, I don't know. I guess it did give them time. I mean, it doesn't look like we're going to really reach hospital capacity. Well, I think a lot of places are going to come close, but I'm not seeing a disaster anywhere. Even like in Houston and Phoenix, where they kind of touched on it, but they didn't. It wasn't severe enough that they just sent people out to different areas, and I think that they're going to be okay. Okay, so that little dump in the E-mini happened before the news that was at the top of the hour on the existing home sales. We don't really have anything until the oil reports, and then we got 20-year bond auction later. I still want to try and get long here. Well, I could do this. I'm concerned enough about that that's as much as I'm going to get that I need to start getting a little more aggressive about it now. In the meantime, let's check out what we got going on these other ones. I'm sure that Tesla's up today, right?
Kevin Wimmer says had a quick 2-pointer from 59.75 to 57.75. Maybe should have hold, but I hate shorting.
I would be a little bit surprised if, unless the market had a really
Vlad
rolled
Stolyarov
over.
says TSLA hype ya.
I'm not into the hype. I'm short. I tell you what, the one everybody's interested in the stock, I'd be careful about getting into it. But unless the E-mini really turns over today off of something, probably Tesla's going to be up today, and then we'll see where they go from the earnings. Okay, so there was a bit of a spike on the open in Tesla. A bit, or quite a significant one, in fact.
Vlad Stolyarov says if market don't roll here it's strong.
Well, doesn't have to roll, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised to see them come back to yesterday's close at 32.51 is where it is right now. It may end up ultimately being a little bit higher than that. But now on the split side, if we really are having a solid day...
Vlad Stolyarov says I am seeing more than usual optimism right from gate.
Not really. I mean, it is high optimism, but it's not unusual for this market. It was a little unusual for how one-sided the book was at the beginning. Okay, 32.72. 32.72. Well, we touched 62, another 10 points. Sure. That's possible. So if this turns into just a normal good up day, then 32.72 is where we would expect us largely to get. I'm still a little skeptical on that. I still kind of see some range boundedness, let's say, especially since the overnight action was really, really slow.
Vlad Stolyarov says
Boy.
3,260 pivot area now.
So I think that the Europeans might be in for a surprise. So Brannigan Barrett is tweeting here, when the bigger picture fundamental landscape shifts, you have to shift with it. The euro will begin to challenge the USD for reserve status. It's also well positioned for consumer rebound far more aggressively than the US, given virus control. And to which I would say, don't call the game before it's over, bro. I feel like that what they're saying in Europe is a whole lot like what they were saying in the United States back in May. Oh, it's all over. We defeated the virus, guys. No, you didn't. That lady has not sung. Damn it. Well, I think I just missed my trade, man. I could have gotten 19.5. That sucks. Well, I suppose that's going to happen sometimes, and that was a really specific kind of a situation that I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to before, so I guess I can see where I kind of made a mistake, but here's where having multiple orders really should have done this from the beginning. Then I would have gotten filled on these two, and that one was going up. Now, do you see how the treasuries are pushing up so aggressively, even though the E-mini isn't really down that much? China unveils full-size models of its Mars rover and lander. Oh, is China gonna go to Mars? Bid at 20.5. Maybe I'm not the only person that got left behind. Oh no, it's a remote rover and lander, much like what the United States has done. It's not that interesting looking.
Vlad Stolyarov says high test on S.
They going for it. Oh, wow, look at that. What's 20.5 gonna do here? Huh? No. 21 goes over.
Live action says
bid?
Seth, you may be right, and though you may see a lot of trades hitting offers, the big boys may be absorbing. Look for thick volume in move.
You mean on the treasury moving up? Well, the E-mini backed off there, and it didn't really do anything all that amazing in the E-mini. In the treasury, you can just see all of the liquidity stack
Live
up.
action says 6E.
Oh, in the euro. Well, for now, the trade is absolutely going to be long euro, right? Not until you start to see, an undeniable evidence of a second wave in Europe. That, like, that's the whole thing. Is if there's a second wave in Europe, and especially if it hits in the winter, yeah, that's bad. That's real bad, and they will get hurt. The second wave in the United States is close enough that it's just kind of all a wash. The second wave in Europe would be devastating because they all think that they've recovered. It would just absolutely kill the consumer sentiment. And they're trying to squeeze them, I think.
RJ Wheel says restaurants can't use patios. It's over.
I think part of the problem is that if you see a second wave in, say, Germany, I think that the German government would overreact.
Vlad Stolyarov says nothing is over, you just don't turn it off, Rambo.
Right?
RJ Wheel says yup. Fire up the trains. Live Action says read a report last night, COVID antibodies fade away in weeks but further study needed.
Jeez. Yeah, live action. So on that, the market was a little bit concerned about that for a time, but then the Moderna um, uh, uh, vaccine results showed that not only did the vaccine create antibodies, but that it created killer T cells, which remember the antibody and everything else like that. So because it also creates killer T cells, um, they're fairly confident at this point that vaccine will work, and that probably when people catch it, that they will develop immunity to it. But there are cases of reinfection. There's only a handful of them, but it does happen. Probably you'll see people like uh, exaggerate the significance of it, but I digress. Now there's see, like, this guy, he wants them, man. I think he wants them. That bid has just moved up. It used to be on us at 20.
Winston's mom says good morning. My new computer is
go.
up and running but only allowing me one
Ooh.
tab at a time. Sigh. And now I will ask everyone to please hit like. Thumbs up,
Oh, thank you
thanks.
very much. Why does it only allow one tab at a time? That's lame. Well, we're already up to 13 likes today, guys. That's amazing. We're like higher than yesterday, and we still got like a good hour and a half or so of streaming. California's confirmed coronavirus cases has topped 409,000, surpassing New York for most in the nation.
Kevin Wimmer says because she stole it from a museum and it can't handle more tabs.
I guess. New York riot cops disband Occupy City Hall encampment in pre-dawn raid. Well, that's smart. One of the things that I think is funny.
Irving C says first timer here. How long do you generally go for? Winston's mom says I am not sure why it's running slow. I spoke to the cable company this morning about it. One tab at a time does not work for me. But I have a keyboard so that's useful. Lol.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell that you have a keyboard. You're much more eloquent today.
like you can tell that it's like, oh, I can type. I'm just going to use all the words. Whereas when you're on the phone, it's like, okay, how can I say this with the least amount of thumb movement possible?
Winston's mom says I am a Gemini, so I have many words.
Urban flight is real. This is the largest monthly gain since the realtors began tracking the data in 1968. Existing home sales jumped 21% last month.
Kevin Wimmer says, but do you have the
Oh.
best words?
She's pretty. She usually has good stuff to say. Man. Well, the E-mini. Just to toot my own horn here.
RJ Wheels says I am a Taurus, so I won't agree with them.
Because we got a good number of people watching today, and I'm sure that are new. I came in at the open and I said, well, the trade that I see right now was 32.50 to 32.60. I think I'm a little late. I don't like the risk reward on it, so I'm not going to take it. But then what did it do?
Winston's mom says absolutely. Best, bestest, bester, and bested.
It went right to 32.60. And what has it done since then is it's gone sideways. So did I just get lucky and call a number out there? No. I have an edge there that gives you a very, very clear location. I'm pretty stoked about it. Great read on how Mercedes-Benz engineers gave Tesla an early start. Now the partnership soured. Oh, that's interesting. More stuff about China from Bloomberg. Yes, welcome to 6 hours ago. Well, I thought maybe they were going to squeeze them out, but they didn't go for 21.5, not yet. The treasuries might need some support from the E-mini dropping to make that happen. I'm not so sure that another drop below 19.5 will happen. Oh, that's interesting.
Winston's mom says RJ Wheel, a Taurus sun. Do you know your rising and moon signs? For example, I am a Gemini Sun Libra ASC and Aquarius Moon Capricorn Dhanishta if you use Vedic astrology. Vlad Stolyarov says AMD. Vlad Stolyarov says new highs. Kevin Wimmer says then you should have taken it lol. 10 points or $500 per contract. Unless your stop would have been gigantic or something.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that. It was that the possibility of getting stopped was too high. Oh, wow. Yeah, AMD is up big time. Starting at 57 and up to 59 now. There's some news on AMD? Or did they just decide that's what they wanted to move today?
Kevin Wimmer says okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I mean, do you see what I mean on it? Or here, I'll bring it out of the 5-minute chart. You zoom in big.
Vlad Stolyarov says monster call options sweep probably.
So we were here.
Vlad Stolyarov says on AMD.
Okay. So we started out at 32. This is basically the open right here, right? And so we had this little move up.
And that was the point at which I realized that the most likely possibility was they were going to come out and try and test this buyer's line up here. So then I looked at it and I said, but what are the chances that it comes down and does this and then does this? Well, it's pretty common to see them test both sides here on the open like that and everything else. So the chances of them going back to 3240 or sorry, 3245 right here, right? What's the chances of them going to that? And I said, nah, the risk reward, even though the risk reward is good, the probability of being stopped out isn't right for me. And I don't really have like a really true fundamental reason for it. It's just positioning.
RJ Wheel says nope, Winston. Unregistered.
So that's why I didn't take it. I did put an order out there at one point, but they didn't like fill it immediately. And anyways, it happens. I'm way more disappointed at what happened in the 10-year. Like what happened at the 10-year was like a really big mistake, missed opportunity on my part. I think I did the right thing in E-mini by holding
Kevin
tight.
Wimmer says yeah, that all makes sense. Especially right on the open, it's really wild.
Yeah. I wanted the whole day I've been saying I want it long at 19, and they came to 19.5 and they cleared 19.5 and I could have gotten in there and then maybe hope that I get a second contract there. But nope, they didn't. They won't go up. And then I put an order in there. No fills. No fills. So I 100% had it right. And I made a tactical mistake. 100% on me. That it was just a bad. I mean, it seems like a trivial mistake, but to me it's really disappointing. Because I knew that it was going to be hard to get filled at that price. I don't know why I wasn't sitting there going, I don't know. I mean, we don't have, now that I have a more clear idea of why that price is going to be so hard to get filled at, it's going to take a little bit of practice, I guess. A little bit of experience seeing the market with my new eyes.
Uzi Knesset says work some bugs out.
Yep. The thesis was good. I mean, it's not over yet. We might still get something from it, right? Hopefully it's more like they fill me at 20 and yeah.
Uzi Knesset says the thesis is incredibly
likely
good.
That is. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's why it's been so hard to get filled, right? Everybody knows what's going on. Gizzo should be careful because that might be a situation where they might try and do a shakeout.
Uzi Knesset says now we just need to build a mansion on the foundation LMAO.
Right. It's exciting. I don't, Uzi, we are going to come into a spot where it's going to like just be terrible, right? Like we realize that it's really good in this rangy market. The trending market is going to be awful. Only seen like one real day with it on the trending market, and we've kind of seen what it does, but yeah. There's going to be lots of work. And I'm concerned, what happens if more people figure it out or this becomes popular and
Live Action
the
says,
market
Seth,
makers
how do you use
realize
Market Chameleon link you put up?
Oh, yeah. Well, so
Uzi Knesset says if I understood the code better, I could actually contribute some ideas, but your steak is like Gordon Ramsay style and my shit's straight pan fried lol.
This is fine. The thing is I've got to like all of the code that makes the thing, just think of it as like, okay, here's a series. Now there's all this stuff that you can just do on that one series, right? Anyways, To the question about the earnings calendar that I put up, the reason that I have been using this calendar, and I'm not saying it's the best ever or anything like that, but it shows you the exact time of the press releases and the conference calls. So when I see a move in the E-mini, sometimes it's like, well, what happened? Oh, it was earnings. Well, now I know. If I'm sitting here and it's 5:30 tonight and I see a bump in the E-mini, it's because of Tesla and Microsoft earnings, right? So that's why I like this calendar, because it shows you when the earnings press release is and when the conference call is. It also shows you a couple of other things. I don't know if they're terribly useful, but like how much it moved last time and what the expected move from the front month
Kevin Wimmer
option
says that's
expiration.
nice. Can you post a link? Better than mine right now.
Yeah, I'll post the link again. I had it up there. I posted it earlier in the session. Boom, boom, boom.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
So I've found that one in a time period where the earnings is so important and such a big driver of the action right now. I think that knowing the specific times of the releases is important to us. So even if we're just trading the index, I think it's a pretty good. Glad I found it. You know how many calendars I had to go through, like literally 50 calendars before I found what I wanted in it. So I don't know. Now, when you look at that one, look at what it says about Tesla. Where is it? Oh, that's not right.
Live Action says it's pretty nice, good find.
13.8% expected move. And some of these are way bigger. Armstrong Flooring Incorporated expecting almost a 30% move. What? No options volume. What the hell? Okay, whatever. Whatever. Let's sort it by options volume. Ah, now you get it. Las Vegas Sands, Biogen, Q Corp. I'm not really too familiar with Key. It's a good find, for sure. Well, I'm thinking about it because again, I'm very focused on the news, and Financial Juice Pro is doing okay for me. Actually, I think you can listen to it for free right now, but they're setting up a Squawk service, and it's going to be $70 a month. Here's the oil inventories. Okay, so they have a build 4.72 versus a forecast of 4.78. Not a huge change.
Gary Rich says at Live House USD to 72.
Well, it looks like oil is moving down off of that report, but I don't know if it's going to be a huge move. So oil down, E-mini down a little bit. Treasuries seems unmoved.
Kevin Wimmer says okay, I am really bad at times. How long until 10 a.m. is it, like in 30 minutes?
10 a.m. Eastern time is already happened. What's at 10 a.m.? The bond auction is at 11. Sorry, at 1 o'clock Eastern time, 11 my time. Always having to convert times. I hate it. Everybody should just use my time zone. So there was a comment, there was a tweet here I wanted to read, and I kind of lost track of it. They were saying that the retail traders were still more concerned about the coronavirus cases than they were the China stuff. Okay, Jake Sherman is tweeting some stuff.
Martin Holmstrom says looked at some replays. Really nice channel. One
thank you very
thing,
much.
couldn't you make S-DOM bigger so it's easier to read order flow? Would be great. I assume more viewers are interested in S than Treasury's smiley face.
Yeah,
Kevin
so
Wimmer says just 10 conference calls from the link you posted. Was just wondering if they already happened or not.
oh, I think they did. Yeah, so yeah, the thing with the E-mini is that lately it moves so fast that we had to use the smaller, you know, the smaller font. I used to have it as big as the treasuries. I suppose one thing that we could do is expand them like the full length of the screen, but then you'd have to give up other stuff. So it kind of depends on what you want to see. But I kind of feel that if you set your screen to make sure that you're running at 1080p and, just make the screen bigger, you should be able to read it just fine. So I haven't worried about it too much. And I don't expect that we will be this volatile forever and that there will be a point in the next year or so where we can move it back to the larger font again. So, but thank you for the kind comments. And yeah, more viewers are interested in ES, but as we're learning today, more viewers are interested in
Irving
individual
C says I'm running 1920 by 1200. It looks fine with full screen.
Yeah, you should be able to see it just fine with full screen. And the codec is great. I'm using the X264, so you don't really get a lot of distortion. And if you go with the highest quality settings on YouTube, those numbers should be nice and crisp. Okay, Jake Sherman, this was meant to be a touch gloves moment for the two sides, which will be at loggerheads for the next few weeks internally in the Capitol. The move was seen as risky by some Republicans. Why would the administration meet with Pelosi before Senate Republicans put out their bill? But regardless of the concerns, they headed to Pelosi's quarters for the meeting. Schumer entered through the main entrance, walking through a clutch of reporters to remind us that the Republicans were in shambles, Meadows said a little on his way in. When they got to the table, attendance was light. There was fewer than a dozen present. Republicans were ticking off their priorities and nothing that they had come to the Democrat side of several issues. Oh, and noting that they had come to the Democrat side on several issues. The administration and Senate Republicans were willing to increase money for schools to $105 billion, which they noted was $5 billion more than Democrats had in their HEROES Act back in May. And then there's more. Schumer interjected that no, they needed way more than that for schools. Their number now was closer to $400 billion. Democrats argue Republicans have dawdled for more than 2 months, so the need for money for schools has ballooned. Republicans say that Democrats were already looking for more cash. Both sides saw this as an illustration of just how far apart they are at the moment. Pelosi and Schumer emerged from that late afternoon session with Meadows and Mnuchin to say that Republicans are in disarray, and not totally wrong, but not quite right either, and they would wait until the GOP put out their bill to begin negotiations. Here's Florida numbers. Okay. Up 87. Not seeing much of a reaction on that one. This is why we led Playbook with the idea that this negotiation is going to last a while, and if they come to a deal, it's going to be quite hard fought. True. I think the markets should be concerned about getting a deal. Snap shares fall after earnings.
Uzi Knesset says, why do we need so much money for schools if the schools are all gonna be closed? Lol.
Right. Well, one of the things that so here's a question. How much money do you pay in taxes for school? And what would happen if you just took that money and paid somebody in your neighborhood? If the dollar index goes to the 92 handle, okay, down to 88, watch out metals to run massive shorts in the dollar, but if an event erupts, the dollar goes a bit back up. Well, there was, before this session, there was a little bit of a battle at the 95, but since then we've fallen down. And the move in the dollar index has been quite fast, hasn't it? 92 does feel a little bit too far away, but we could be there by the end of the week, the way that they're moving, couldn't we? I'm not saying it's likely, but it's possible. And the euro just keeps going. But I don't know how I feel about the dollar trade. I think that the dollar trade is being in part driven by hubris from the Europeans. I will be watching that for a long. If I would be watching the new case counts in Europe to see if they get caught.
Live Action says my friend had to sell his house due to school tax and he doesn't have kids, also English second language.
Oh, that's interesting. E-mini having a little slight move up there.
Uzi Knesset says,
Okay.
where are you getting those live Florida numbers? Our dashboard is slow AF.
So I'm getting that the Florida cases rose 2.6% versus a 7-day average of 3.5%. Remember, well, it's a Wednesday. That's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. So I'm hearing it from my squawk, and it's also showing up on Twitter. It's kind of weird how the coronavirus numbers don't come out all at the same time. I don't think that Financial Juice gets them directly, right? They get them from Bloomberg or whoever, and
Kevin Wimmer says, so is it possible to have two other DOMs right now instead of ZP and CN? Like CL and gold, for instance. Like, do you really need 3 treasury DOMs when you only trade ZN?
Good question. I don't know.
Irving C says correlation.
I mean, with the way that I've traded in the past, I definitely do. But with this new thing, I might be able to get away with only looking at the treasury. The thing is I'm not going to trade those.
PRTRADERSOS says time for executive order.
I'm not going to do those. And if you really want to trade
Live Action says
oil
at
or
Gary
gold,
Rich, so you think possible more upside in gold, silver.
if you really want to trade oil and gold, then you should do it yourself. I don't know. What exactly is the reasoning behind why you would like to see a different instrument shown there? Because I know that you can see that information. If there were going to show other stuff, it should probably be stocks, because if there's anything that people are interested in, it's stocks. Look at this. How many people do we got watching today? Oh, well, we got 40 right now, but we're almost to 50. We're almost to 50. And why are they tuning in? Because they want to hear about Tesla. Of course, I'm not talking about Tesla right now, so they disappear. But, I should have it. Maybe I should have it like that. Da-da-da-da. Would like to see when Ninja Traders got the stock stuff in there.
Irving C says emo, gold, oil on market analyzer to get overall view. Gary Rich says watch the CBO numbers. with this event healthcare stuff as the new industry to push for investments, jobs, and stimmy money.
So you just, I can pull this symbol up, but I don't get the data. I don't know what I have to do to get it. Let's investigate that. I don't know if there is a way to get the stock data from AMP futures. I think that to get stock data, I would have to move to interactive brokers, which I have zero interest in going to them. You know what I should do though is because I could get on my real brokerage account.
Irving C says you can add a second connection to get that.
But from who? I just don't want to open this an interactive brokers account. I guess I could.
Irving
I
C
could
says
move my
TD
money.
Amer.
I could move my money to TD Ameritrade. You're right.
Winston's mom says Tesla. They want Tesla. Okay. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. Nikola Tesla.
Oh man. Okay, so you want a number? Okay, here's my new.
Ascar Money Machine says, are you bearish mate on MKTS?
Nah. I would say no. I think that we're still pretty range bound. I think we're still pretty bracketed. So here's my number: 4.6689. It's a number. Remember it. 4.6689. It's called the Feigenbaum constant, and it is related to when you have a fractal, how often the fractal bifurcates. So, therefore, if markets are fractals, then when you see bifurcations in the market, which is like where it kind of like flips around,
Irving C says no need to move from AMP to TD Ameri. You can have both. Just deposit small amount in TD Ameritrade to keep account open, then you have feed access.
Well, that's not what
Gary
I'm
Rich
saying.
says at live yes on gold. Silver not so sure. Each has made 52-week highs. Silver might top out. Futures forward contracts are bullish gold to 1900 in 2021, 2022 silver not so much.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that if this gold trade really picks up, that you're going to get the same effect that we had last gold run, where people try and run into silver as a proxy because they are FOMOing and they think that maybe they haven't missed it in silver. So, and I wouldn't be surprised to see silver surpass its all-time high at 50. Is what we were saying earlier. But it'd take a long time for that to happen, of course. No, what I was saying is I have an account with Fidelity. I have an account with Fidelity, and I was thinking, well, I could move my money from Fidelity to TD Ameritrade. So the only reason that I have my account at Fidelity is that I was gifted some stock from Goldman Sachs, and they created that account for me, and so that's where I've been putting my stock. Let's see here. I know that they have like an active trader thing at Fidelity. Let me see. Active Trader Pro. Download now. We'll try it. We'll see how good it is. I bet you it's total shit. Technical term. I wasn't swearing. It was a technical term.
Josie says TOS for Canadians. Now need 25K to open.
That's awful.
No way. Gary Rich says at live if you run the expected move calculation on gold and silver VIX.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that a lot of those applications like Thinkorswim or Interactive Brokers are all about doing both futures and stocks, and I think that you pick a stockbroker for your stocks and you pick a futures broker for your futures. Hey, I got filled finally. that might end up being like really bad. We'll see. We shall see. That means I don't want that anymore.
RJ Wheel says a lot of brokers hate Canada for some reason.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is there like some rule in
Irving
Canada
C
that makes
says
it
TOS
harder?
is very buggy. Don't recommend for intraday. Martin
Yeah.
Holmstrom says is the S chart with cumulative delta from Jigsaw.
Yes. No. It's from.
Josie says not much choice in Canada for futures brokers. IBKR only.
It's this
Live
this
Action
chart in
says
the lower
25K
right.
for pattern day trade margin but not for cash trades and no commissions but to open two in Canada?
Yeah, I don't know. Here, hold on a second, because we're getting a lot of comments, so I have to read them out individually.
RJ Wheels says yeah we have very strict banking rules.
Anyway, so I was going to say this chart in the lower right, this is Ninja Trader. This is Ninja Trader, cumulative delta, and then these are some histograms that I've written myself for level 2. It's basically telling us that some guys in the E-mini are going short right now.
Gary Rich says if you see the exchanges raise margin rates in gold and silver it's an indication of a sorta parabolic move.
Oh yeah, because they happen, right? Like they move so, like one of the things that drives it in gold is that it moves so much that you get more leverage because they don't change the margin requirements, and then that causes more people to get in until, of course, they update the margin requirements, and then a bunch of people have to sell and it falls back, which we have definitely seen happen, haven't we? This is taking a long time to install. I wonder what it runs on. Is it Java? So when you're talking about Thinkorswim is, the one on the left? Yes.
Martin Holmstrom says I meant the chart to the left. Isn't it cumulative delta on it?
Yep. This is CD. This is level 2. And yeah, this is a jigsaw chart. And the white here represents areas of greater liquidity. Well, look at that. They're going to come all the way back to the open. They're able to come all the way back to the open. I think that very, very much confirms my concerns about taking that trade at the beginning, even though it would have worked. Yeah, so now back to what did you say about the charts? Yeah, it's cumulative delta on there. And that's one of the main reasons that I have it up is because I really like the way that Jigsaw shows the cumulative delta. It used to be better because when it ticked wasn't just based off of a time frame, it had to do with like changes. Anyways, cool little tidbit, I guess. Okay. So now the question is, can I get in? Can I remember? Yeah, okay, so we'll pull this stuff over here. Oh no, I can't open it up like that. Nope, it still opens in the center screen. That's lame. I'm just going to have to do this for a second. Okay. I have to read everything. Cool. News. Ooh, option probability calculator. Hold on. Black theme? Sure I have the right thing selected there. Tips. Open a new tool. Launch it from the top. To resize a tool. Hover over the edge. Click and drag. People need to be told this shit? What the? Okay, whatever. Learning resources. Cool. I think we got it. I think we figured it out. Now, what is this supposed to be? Yay! Look, we get a chart. Oh, that's cool. I won't look at that though. You know what? Let's close that since we're not going to look at that for now. News. Twitter earnings. What to expect? You're not giving me very great news right here. Oh, that's called position news. Do I get choices? Anyways. Investing ideas. Yeah, those are exactly the things that I'm not going to buy. The ones that my broker wants me to buy. Okay, wait. Sorry. So you guys had said a bunch of stuff. Let's look at what you guys have been saying here.
Live Action says that Gary Rich reminds me of a time many years ago I left one contract on silver overnight and made $10K. That was the week they doubled margins. Smiley face.
Yeah,
Winston's mom says MarketWatch has an article on why silver prices are soaring. Gary Rich says just go long maple syrup. I read articles where syrup was worth more than a barrel of oil in Canada.
What?
Wow. PRTRADERSOS says Canada is all rules. Live Action says lol maple syrup. Yes, almost everything when oil played with zero. Martin Holmstrom says I saw a chart from Peter Davies that had iceberg orders plotted on it. Is that a feature in Jigsaw, or was he using another software?
No.
Gary Rich says at live yes. I'm long Aussie dollar will not take it off, but will add to it each pullback. This one is a long hold for at least 5 years. Live Action says I saw a picture of Davies at his trading computers exactly the same as Elite Trader at Axia, they even have same mouse pad. Martin Holmstrom says slightly smiling face. Kevin Wimmer says can you open Volkswagen? Curious if they have the short squeeze from 12 years ago. Irving C says lol. Live Action says at Gary Rich the Aussie trade was a beauty, it's nice being on a free roll with so much cushion.
I can't change the colors, settings, style, standard, style, hollow, style, filled. Well, I would like them to be filled, but I want them to be orange and blue. Can I not? Okay. Research style, settings, restore, export, help, no. Options, that's option chain. Charts, new chart. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Wait, settings, general. Maybe. Don't look at that. Theme color. No. Okay, so we'll search. Active Trader Pro chart colors. Select chartings from the main chart. Oh, right here. Oh, okay. Okay. Want blue. Wait, those are my choices? What the hell? That is retarded. You've got to be kidding me. Those are my choices for colors? Fidelity. What is this shit? Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So, to the question about Jigsaw, the on this chart back here, the little circles, those are the iceberg orders. Spy sold exactly $1 from short entry. That was obvious, keeping inside range day. I guess. Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna have like a super huge. They've kind of established the two sides here now, and they're probably going to go back and forth a little bit. They didn't actually trade all that much volume up at the top, by the way. I can't believe that those are my colors. Like, what? Can I not? I can't like what the? That is so disappointing. Dark blue and red. Ew. So ugly. Do want to see the extended hours. That's cool. Show price volume distribution. Hey, that is nice. Grid lines. I don't know if we really need those. We'll make them really light. I can't. What's that abomination? Go back to green and red. At least this one is nice, and go for Volkswagen. I know you want it. If you want to look at Volkswagen, we should probably look at it in Trading View. This is so bad, right? What is Volkswagen's?
So how does it doesn't It's showing me Ford now. There's no like symbol search. Like an auto fill out. Is it VOW? Or VOW? Well, anyways. This perhaps I'm missing something, but your 10-year and no profit target. Well, I don't want to put it out there because I don't want everybody to see where my order is. Actually, I wanted to buy these ones down here. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, so I'm going to put a stop down here. So, kind of depends on what happens. My target is really more of a time than anything because the trade here is that there's a 20-year auction today. So, I don't know. Might not be a bad idea to just take it off at 21 and just catch that. But I got like 30 minutes here before I have to do something about it. I figure one contract is not as noticeable. I try and trade it like I assume like everybody wants to know. So I don't like just if I stick the profit target out there, it's because I think that there's a possibility that there's going to be a sweep and I want to get out on the sweep. Otherwise, like if I wanted to get out at 22, let's say, okay, I'm at the back of the line behind 4,000 orders. Like, why even put it out there? There's no advantage to putting it out there at that point because you're going to be the last one to get filled. Might as well wait for it to come up there, see them start trading it, and then put your order in the mess and get out that way instead of holding it out there and letting everybody see it. So that's my thoughts on that. One of the things that you'll notice in the E-mini, it closes fidelity bullshit. That was incredibly disappointing. In the E-mini, you see this right here. These are the orders. Okay, when we're going up, what happens? Everybody goes long, and you can see all of their orders looking to all of their take profit orders show up on the DOM in the E-mini. So now you know which way they're all going to go. And therefore, the market maker knows exactly what he can do to mess around with them. Because the retail traders make their positions and their bias so obvious. I don't know if it matters, but I'm trying to trade like I'm the big head honcho and everybody's following me, and ergo, I don't necessarily want people to know where my target is.
Gary Rich says it live. Here's a link. You can look at inter-cross currency rates like CNY, Aussie as example.
So now I kind of have to sit back and think, okay, who's the best broker with the best
Vlad
charts?
Stolyarov says what's going on with NQ?
Interesting, the tick down there. E-mini's not really doing anything special. I still see that probably they could come back to 19.5 still. You mean you doing something there? NQ looking bearish.
Vlad Stolyarov says this is looking so bearish NQ. Kevin Wimmer says maybe people shorting, getting out ahead of Tesla and Microsoft.
Could be. I think, though, if people are getting out, that you're just going to
Live
see a
Action
shuffle.
says at Gary Rich
Not-
thanks.
I don't know if it has to just get killed, you know? But probably at the very least, rotation, sure. Because I personally, I think for Tesla in particular, like if you've been in Tesla and you've caught this ride as a short-term trader, why risk the earnings, you know? Like you made a ton, you get it. You should have taken it off at 1,600. I don't know. I probably picked too good of a strike price, didn't I? Like, watch, they're gonna come out, the earnings are gonna be bad, and then it'll open
Irving
up at
C
15
says right.
tomorrow, and I won't get paid. French regulator limiting most telecom operator licenses for Huawei 5G equipment to 3 or 5 years.
Gary Rich says it live. If you DM in Discord, I can share more.
Okay. Or Gary, you should just post stuff in the currencies channel. Oh, so Jigsaw is posting a picture of the charting beta. So do I get it? Do I get it? Do I get it? Huh, Pete? Huh? That's cool. He's got a swing indicator built into it. That's cool. And it's showing the cumulative delta on the swing. That's so cool. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh, yeah, I would really like that. And I think, well, you could program it, but it's kind of a mess because of the way that the swing indicator. And now he's going to build it in there. Good for them. I like that a lot. I hope I can write my own indicators, though. Because I got some stuff. Got some stuff, you know.
Live Action says at Gary Rich, give me a minute, have to find my password.
Yeah, sorry, you have to like be you have to associate your Discord account with a phone number because we get so much spam. And that was like the only thing that did anything to reduce the spam.
Ace Trades says at Live Action, try password.
I wonder why we haven't run out of requests yet. We should be getting close. Maybe Google changed something. It's still going. Like normally we would be gone at 9 o'clock, 9:05, and we're like 10 minutes through that. Oh, but you know what? I started the stream a little bit later today, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's just about to cut out any second now.
Irving C says WTF, from Jigsaw blog, charts will be supported for all connections except NinjaTrader 8 and MT5 right now. I am not sure if we will provide charts for these versions. Martin Holmstrom says I mailed Davies about charts just 2 days ago. He said they would release new beta charts end of the month. Where did you see them? Picture.
It's on Peter Davies. Sorry, did I not show you guys? Did I not pull it over? I was talking about something and assuming you could see it and you couldn't see it. There's the picture. He tweeted it. Oh my gosh. That's on the blog. Let's go
Kevin
read that.
Wimmer says I am not quite sure, but I think I could have gotten more than 2 points from my short at 59.75. Feels bad lol. Ace Trades says at Irving C I don't know much, but that sounds bad.
Oh, it's so
Gary
devious.
Rich says remember guys, Nasdaq has lead markets since 2016 on, it has outperformed others. The FANG stocks is partially why.
Yep. And Microsoft, I think Microsoft earnings will
Vlad
probably be good.
Stolyarov says it's okay, risk reward was 50-50.
Okay, so let's read this. Next week. Next week. When did he post this? It doesn't say. Next week, we plan to release the first beta of Jigsaw charting module. It's built into the existing application, and for existing users, there's no additional charge to use these charts. We are doing this as many of our users have a second charting application open alongside our tools, and that incurs data fees. This will be a phased beta. We will release functionality in phases so that we aren't jumping around too much resolving issues. In other words, we will get one area right before moving to the other. Charts will be supported for all connections except NinjaTrader 8 and MT5 right now. I am not sure if we will provide charts for these versions. I'm not mad at him, but I am a little bit shocked because basically what that means is stop using NinjaTrader, which is like, hey, if I can program, then I will do it. If I can program, I would much rather just use Jigsaw, 100%. But if I can't program with it, then I'm in a bit of a bind. I have to just continue using my concurrent setup, I guess, and it just won't let me use the charts. I guess that's fine. Phase 1, this will be focused on the installation process and basic time-based charts. All indicators will be included: market profile, volume profile, cumulative delta, footprint, swing charts, etc. All feeds supported. What we want from this is to have people running charts with different configurations, using the caching system, using charts on workspaces, using drawing tools, and opening the app to ensure things come back in the same place. And of course, all time on performance. Phase 2, additional periodicities and throttling. Performance improvements, adding tick charts, range charts, and any additional time-based periodicities, adding any new indicators required. Vista placement, bringing in heat maps, circles, and other Vista elements to the charts. Chart docking with depths and cells, chart to docking, chart synchronization at this point, existing VI. Beta will be available to all Jigsaw users. We'll be issuing more details next week. This is a rough outline of the plan, but these plans usually only survive the first week. At that point, we expect a lot of requests from you right from day one. If our users push us in a specific direction, we may move things around or insert additional items. We will let you know how to get access to the tools over the next week. In the meantime, feel free to get back to us with your comments. Okay, I'm gonna email him. Gonna start writing something.
Kevin Wimmer says come to the Sierra chart lol.
No.
Dorado Dorm says GAXY, remote learning software COVID-19 play. Irving C says same here. Ace Trades says at Kevin Wimmer wish I could. I miss it. Vlad Stolyarov says boom go the stops NQ.
Yeah.
Gary Rich says at Ace my password is easy 1234 or 4321. Vlad Stolyarov says banks probably knew.
Well, I tell you what, I just remember the whole time we were saying, the chances of them touching 3245 are pretty high. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Gary Rich says about time Jigsaw. Welcome to modern technology and reality.
Hmm. Oh, okay, now we've exceeded our quota. I was waiting for that to happen. Um, let's see here. NT always crashes. Well, if I don't touch my workspace, I'm usually okay. Every once in a while, though. Oh, that's right. Well, I need water really bad. You think that they'll fill me at 19.5? I mean, he came back to 32.45, and now they're turning back. So they've definitely established the edges of the range. Gary, I can't find you in Discord. I'm not tech savvy, and my email is Proton Mail is better. His username in Discord is what is it? Samurai M7. Look for Samurai M7. Doesn't say much in the main channel, so it's kind of. So everybody go and spam him now since I've added him. I don't see him in Discord right now, actually. Weird day, 15-minute box, yes. I don't think it's weird. It's kind of almost exactly what we said it was going to be, wasn't it? I don't know. Probably should have gotten out at 21, huh? Well, when they were coming down, they actually didn't. Maybe it could have gotten 21. Maybe it could have gotten it. It did go through at some points, though. So, yeah, back here. When we first plummeted down to 2032.45 area, should have taken it off. Because I was looking at it, I was like, well, I got 30 minutes. But that probably was my chance. Just going a little over edge on move down first 15-minute opening range. Fine. Thing I find interesting is I thought treasuries would go up. I really think that like the 22 is not unreasonable. But I probably am not going to be able to show you guys the end of this because I got to get going here soon. You like to end it down at the bottom of the hour, so. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. So there was a little bit of excitement in the E-mini there. I heard a couple of clicks. And they moved up a little bit and then came back. The Treasury not really reacting. And yeah, it's not really doing it. So I think maybe it's just time to shut it down. Lots of people viewing today. Thank you guys very much. We'll see how the Tesla and Microsoft earnings go. I'll probably post about it on Twitter, so you can go follow me there. Just Speculator Seth on Twitter. Or, Discord. We'll be in Discord. So, and then if I don't see you, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. If you hit the bell icon, then you will get notifications when the channel goes live, and it's much easier to regularly follow the streams in the morning. So I recommend doing that so that I can see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.